Good afternoon, everybody. We are back. It is the right side of campus. We are live Thursday, January 4th, 2018. I'm your host, the Big Man on Campus, back with you early and ready to go. Get your coffee ready, get your breakfast ready. Turn down the TV and listen to us as we get you ready for Thursday in sports. My co-host, Donnie Rightside, joins me. Donnie, we're off our first betcast last night. Little green early on. We got through some things. A little late start, but we chugged along, had some fun last night. We're back today. How you doing?
Doing good. Hey, man, it was a lot of fun last night going over. And, Jeff, what makes a betcast good? You have fun, you watch a game, it goes fast,
And
and everybody wins money. It's like the perfect storm, Jeff. Now, when I say the perfect
right.
storm, we are getting pounded up here in the Northeast with the nice little blizzard conditions. But, Jeff, last night, good times. Good times had by all.
Yeah, if you listen in, you'll make money. And Donnie mentioned he liked Florida State. They got the job done. And we took the second half, -3 with UNC, and that won as well. So, yeah, listen, I mean, you got to listen and make money. And it's like school. If you miss school, you miss out, Donnie, as they say. And if you missed out, you missed out on money. But we'll jump into it. Hopefully next week people will join us. We'll do it every Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern, the featured game of the day in college hoops. But Donnie, let's jump in. Morning headlines. We welcome everyone out there. If you're listening, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to SPR. We hope you enjoy what we have to offer here. Before we get into the show, Donnie, SPRpicks.com. I'd highly recommend checking that out if you listen to the show. Always a lot of great information over there. It's basically the thoroughfare to get to everywhere for SPR. Up at the top, you'll see the sports review option. You go there to check out all the books, the bonus guides, the blacklist, the books that you don't want to bet with. Really a nice thoroughfare to get you a book. I mean, nowadays it's important. College basketball, make sure you're getting the best line. Make sure you have multiple books. You can also check out SBR contests. A lot of free contests to enter college hoops, NFL playoffs. I'm sure a lot of great things over there as well. And Donnie, I mean, if you're new and you need a schedule, you can check out the schedule on the right side of the SBR picks page. And also, Donnie, today there's an article about Cincinnati and Temple tonight at the Liacouras Center. I will not be there though. Snow, a lot of bad things going on, blizzard conditions. So I'm not going to be able to make it down. So I'll have to watch it on TV. I'm sure I won't miss much, but we'll get into it. Let's get into the show, Donnie. Uh, we start out with the morning headlines, and first things first. Tonight or today, I'm sorry. We talk about UCF, and the other day you and I went over the game with Auburn, and neither of us thought that UCF would win or cover. We thought Auburn would really kind of impose their will, stronger, faster, more physical football team. UCF wins the game. And now you're hearing that UCF is deciding that they're going to be different than everyone else. They're deciding that they're going to have a parade at Disney World. They're going to raise a national banner. What the hell is this? What is this? I mean, you didn't win anything. You won the fucking Peach Bowl. You didn't win the Sugar Bowl. You didn't win the Rose Bowl. You won the Peach Bowl. This is like, South Alabama winning the Camellia Bowl and saying, you know what? We're going to go down through Mobile and have our own parade. This is that we're going to give you a trophy for everything and feel good about stuff. Listen, you're not in the national title conversation. Get over it. You're not the only team that has had this happen to them. You got spurned. It is what it is. This is ridiculous. What is this? What is this
Now,
stupid
it doesn't.
stuff?
It's bordering on insanity. Look, you get a lot of respect already, Jeff. Is anybody giving you at UCF right now, Jeff, throughout the country, no respect for beating Auburn? Like, did I miss something there, Jeff? Like, they
No,
are getting the ultimate
we gave a
respect.
ton of
Great. Yeah. But if you put UCF in a regular conference, they're going to take a loss around the way. But that's not even neither here nor there. Do we need an expanded playoff? Yes, we do, Jeff. That's not neither here nor there. But correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff. Did I miss the boat on nobody's ever gone undefeated and didn't win the national championship? There's been like 20 teams, and a lot of them recently. How about Boise State when they're winning Fiesta Bowls? They didn't have parades like, yo, we're here. We're the big boys. We won the Fiesta Bowl. We'll deal with that. Were they parading around saying they're national champions because they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl? No. How about back in the day? Was it like Auburn, Ohio State when they were on probation? Did they hang a banner when they first got Urban Meyer because they went undefeated? And the best part about this here, Jeff, with UCF is you're right. They're having a parade at Disney World, which is great because even if you presented it early on, Jeff, like, you know what? We want to celebrate this as a university that we had the perfect season. Disney invited us. We're going to have a parade. I think everybody would love that. Secondarily, if you have a banner and your AD comes out and says, you know what? It's a shame we didn't win the national championship, but these kids did such a good job and it has never been done in UCF history. We're going to put a banner up that says 2016, 2017, the perfect season, 13-0. Everybody would love it and applaud it. But when your AD gets up on a pedestal and is like, look, nope. And the best part, Jeff, I'm going to add to this in a second. We're going to hang a national championship banner. We're going to have a national championship parade at Disney World. And not only that, Jeff, the coaches who just coached UCF, they're going to get their national championship bonuses. What world are we living in?
And then I also read that not only are they going to do all that stuff, but they're also going to put billboards up congratulating the Knights on the 2017 national championship, and one imploring that Associated Press voters cast a ballot on whether UCF should be the national champion. They didn't win. Stop. Let's stop with this fantasy bullshit. They didn't win. They didn't get into the Final Four. Move the fuck on. And they wouldn't have beat anyone in the Final Four. Let's stop with this. You didn't get in. Go. Then here's what I'll say to UCF. Implore and put all your resources into getting into the Big 12 or somewhere like that. Then maybe you have a chance to win something. Other than that, stay in your fucking lane. Take your whatever you want and shut the fuck up. All right? It's
Jeff,
UCF.
how about the one you like? You're looking at UCF. How about the year that Auburn had Cadillac? I believe it was Jason Campbell, Cadillac Williams, and Ronnie Brown went undefeated and didn't win a national championship. If there's something that you want to get after, that's the one you get after. But come on, UCF. I mean, follow the Boise State mold. Build this off your pro. You can have a nice feel-good story with a lot of respect, and now you're getting people that are just going to slap you down, even though you had a great season. But as your boy says,
Yeah, you had
LeVar
a
Ball, Jeff, stay in your lane here.
well, it's interesting because 2 years ago when this team was 0-12, I remember there was various bars in the area that couldn't pay the beer tabs for all the beer they had to give away for free because they put out, we're gonna do something. If UCF doesn't win a game, we're gonna give you free beer. And they ended up not winning a game. Now everybody's all on board. UCF's such a great school. They're my alma mater. I'm proud to be from UCF. This fucking school, I mean, 1 year and they act like they're Alabama football. Shut the fuck up. Go celebrate. It's like these schools that win a big game and like they're like fringe ranked and then they rush the field and they're all excited and happy. Listen, build your program, get some respect. This is this is like corny as fuck. I think it's corny as fuck. All this shit they're doing. I mean, do you need a what's the parade for? What are we what is that for? Oh, we won the
Like, and
Peach
even
Bowl.
if you
What's
play
the
for the team, like if you play for
what a waste of
UCF or
money.
a UCF fan or whatever it is, like I don't understand the point of it. Like you're going to get a lot of respect if you just play the angle. Jeff is, dude. We just went through and went 13-0 and beat an SEC team. What an unbelievable year. We'll always remember this as the perfect season. You might even want to get them, Jeff. You might even want to get them rings. So you know what? We got our conference championship rings. We're going to engrave on there the perfect season. Are they going to engrave in there national champions? Oh my! And how as a player would you say, look, here's my national championship ring from UCF, and people go, yeah, but you didn't win it, man.
Yeah, it's like these people that like what do you like 10 years down the road when you have kids and stuff and you have like your ring on and by the way you didn't win anything. It's not like you're like national champions. You just, oh hey dad, what's the ring? Oh, that was when you have like a school ring. I went to this high school or whatever. Oh, what's the ring for? Oh, well, it's for when I was a senior in high school or college, we won the Peach Bowl. Wait, so you didn't win the national title? No, we were close. We should have been there. We should have been there. We didn't win. It's like these guys, these Twitter handicappers that say, "Well, I should have won. I was right on point with it. I should have won the game." But you didn't. You didn't win. And if you want to be so respected, put all your resources into moving up into a better conference, into a better league. Then you can be the national champions. But this bullshit that you're not national champions. That's like being a poodle and hanging out with pit bulls and thinking you're a pit bull. You're not. You're a poodle. Sit back and play in your AAC, and shut the fuck up.
Yep, the final
This is
word on that,
bullshit.
Jeff, is just like again, if you just play it the right way, we had a perfect season. Yo, that's a lot of respect there. And now you go down that angle as being criers. I don't want to hear any. I like UCF, Jeff. We like UCF all year. We like Scott Frost. We like Mackenzie Milton. We like the whole MO. It's a fun
I
conference to
didn't.
watch. They
I
beat a
didn't
good
really like.
UCF team. I like
They
UCF. I thought they were a pretty
they
good football
annoyed the
team, but
fuck out of me all year. I was sick of hearing about them.
that's because they beat your Navy boys. Come on.
Well, I do. Here's what I will say: I do respect them. They won. I mean, but this is ridiculous. This parade and stuff. I mean, move on. Come on. Donnie, we remember, I believe it was today, if I'm correct here, today, back in 1999, is that correct? 2000?
Yeah, that
Bill
definitely. Yep,
Belichick.
sure.
Bill Belichick uh, became the coach of the New England Patriots. And we think back to this day, 18 years ago or so, and wonder what would have been if he didn't go to New England. You have to think there wouldn't have been a Tom Brady. Who knows where Tom Brady would have went? He could have went somewhere else, and Donnie maybe not played as well. Who knows? But we think about that back then. I mean, he was a young guy. No one really knew who he was. How would this have been different, Donnie? Amazing.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Like he takes over, like Parcells steps down, and always his right hand man in life was Bill Belichick. He steps up to the podium, and within days, basically recuses himself as being the head coach and dips off to New England, which was always interesting to me because at that time, Jeff, like the Jets were on their way. Parcells rebuilt that team. That was an AFC Championship contending team, and he bounces to New England. And at that time, Jeff, New England wasn't, the greatest thing in the world. You know what I mean? It wasn't the greatest franchise overall.
Yep.
But going on, you're right, the trajectory movement of that. And look what it did for New England. New England played in a high school stadium at that point. And look what they built that team into now, one of the richest, most worthwhile, championship teams, billions and billions of dollars worth. And look at the trajectory of the opposite franchise, Jeff. When you have Bill Belichick go to New England in the same conference, build that into one of the best teams of all time, and the Jets flounder year after year after year. What might have been if you lined up, and again, Jeff, let's play it off even with the New York Giants at this point. The Giants own New York City. They've owned it for a long time. But can you imagine if the Jets were doing exactly what the Patriots were doing? The Giants would be like the Mets compared to the Yankees right now. It would change the whole course of history there. Just amazing, amazing how one small move like that set one franchise into being a perennial powerhouse and the other one into a laughing stock.
Let's hope a small decision to take Carson Wentz finishes the same for our Eagles or Jimmy Garoppolo to the Niners. Uh, I think they're going to regret that at some point, Donnie, New England, because they're at some point going to face the music that Tom Brady's going to have to retire. Then what do you do? And you got to start over. Uh, Donnie, we remember today also about Rich Rod. We didn't talk about this yesterday. We weren't on the air, but this Rich Rod stuff is weird, man. You're starting to come out with some weird things here with this whole thing. Rich Rod obviously fired from Arizona, and then the sexual assault case comes out. And Donnie, some weird things being reported. According to the affidavit, listen to some of this stuff that Rich Rod was involved with. He grabbing his penis in front of her, trying to kiss her, telling her I love her, making her cover for his extramarital affair. In one instance, an employee called Rodriguez a predator, according to the claim.
Mm.
He also the thing also claims that shortly after the incident, Rodriguez saw that the woman was fragile. He asked her to get her underwear from him from the equipment area downstairs. She found this degrading and out of line and emailed the equipment manager to get him and provide Rodriguez a clean pair of underwear. He got the underwear and said that it visually enhanced his genitalia when worn. She found it sickening. He then walked around the office shirtless during workouts. Very odd. I mean, Rodriguez I always thought was a weird guy, but now you're starting to read some of this stuff. Whatever you're here, I'm here for you. He grabbed his penis, embraced her, touched the side of her breast, and tried to kiss her. Very odd, Rich Rod, Donnie. Any comment on this?
Yeah, and the funny thing about it too is you hear the other stuff that this lady was doing. He basically got, which is for her, she couldn't put up with like the harassment stuff like that, but she had a pretty good gig because he knew that she was in that inner circle where he was just running games on his wife, and as long as he had that intermediary as her, she probably would have had a job for life. But then again, you still have to put up with all the nonsense that's going to come along with it. But the times where where they had a big game against USC. And it's like, all right, here's what I need you to do. You need to get a press pass for my girlfriend and my wife and just make sure they don't brawl on the sideline during the football game. I mean, this guy, it's amazing, Jeff. When guys get in power positions, what they actually think they can do.
Yeah.
Like he would go on recruiting trips. The one he said took to San Diego. He would take, she was the assistant. He would take her with her. And her little job was like to set up the girlfriend, itinerary, get her a hotel room, make sure their dog, went on the trip. And she was always going to take, if something was wrong, she would step in there. And she said it took a toll on her personal life, but I'm sure she was paid well because how well liked by Rich Rodriguez was she? I think she told him at one point, like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to take a job where my husband is at. And he's like, well, okay, do that, but I'm going to get you your own apartment so you can fly down and stay here a couple days a week. We'll handle all the expenses to this. So his cheating of what he liked to do around his family, this woman was the linchpin involved, and he knew how important she was. But the stuff that comes out years and years and years later, just, come on, Rich Rod, what are you doing out there, brother?
2 weeks after Rodriguez assaulted her in his office, he called her back inside, closing the door, said he wanted to take care of her. Rodriguez handed her $300 in cash, but she refused the money. He then begged her not to tell his wife. This made her even more uncomfortable and believed he believed she could be bought. Uh, she then emailed her sister. Then another weird incident, Donnie, in his office, closing the door, she looked up in horror to see Rodriguez grasping his penis between his basketball shorts, which were pulled up all the way. Rodriguez carried on a normal conversation while still holding himself. Very odd. And
Jeff,
then, uh,
Rodriguez a little bit tangled up doing. I mean, maybe he should have been worried about the defense. Am I right on that? Come on.
right. And then once he had finished, he asked her, "What the fuck just happened?" Eventually, she returned to her desk. Rodriguez leaned over to start up another conversation. And then they started talking about she left and they called him the predator. But very odd,
Jesus.
very odd. And yes, it is a shame that these guys in power think that they can just buy people and no one's going to talk about it. Uh, Good point. Aspire to be late. How about just asking her out rather than being a creep? Good point. Or just leave
Yeah, I
your
mean,
wife if
he's a
you're not happy.
serial he's obviously a serial cheater. So instead of having the girlfriend, why didn't he just date the girl in the office and then nobody really got their feelings hurt as if it was harassment? They were actually going out together. But I like the one also, Jeff, where the assistant had to go out to lunch with Rich Rod's wife, and it was like a 3-hour lunch, and all the wife did was grill her on who he was cheating with. I mean, this is it's like your boy has to go out with your girlfriend. All she's going to ask you to do is, I know he's cheating on me, right? I know. Who is he? It's okay. You could tell me. 3-hour lunch of that, Jeff.
Vittle is chiming in that it's not weird to walk around with no shirts on. It is when you don't have any pants on
In a
either. Maybe you should
workplace, yeah. Come
maybe you
on.
should maybe you should read the article, Vitalis. Maybe you do that in your job, which I'm not surprised by, but maybe you should read the article. Sounds a little weird, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
but you can't do it in a place
Uh,
of business. Oh, come on.
Juan White, what happened to "That's a fine dress, my lady"? Shall we have this dance? Exactly. That's long gone. Great point. Um, But it's interesting, Donnie. The world has changed a ton. About I was actually listening to the radio last night, and you ever think about, Donnie, like how the world has totally changed? Like I remember when I was young, like I'm talking like 10 years old or younger, like a good 15 years ago. But I remember like we would go to sleep at night, Donnie, and I would never lock the door. Or like
Yeah.
they were talking on the radio last night about how like back in the day, Ricky Ricardo, you know who Ricky Ricardo is. He was talking
Yes.
about how like people could like you could almost in a way like if you would brush up against someone that their blood got on you or something, like there was a time where you never had to worry about that. You know what I mean? And like it would have been interesting to kind of, as we know all this stuff now, go back and kind of, you know, live life that way. It's so weird how so much things have changed. But yeah, Rich Rod, this is a weird story. This guy needs he's not going to get another coaching job after this. Awful timing for this to come out. Rich Rod's done, Donnie. Stick a fork in
I
Rich
always
Rod.
like Rich Rod
And
said he was
yes,
cleared of. He going to pay him out at $6 million, and he was cleared of all wrongdoing. But the financials are still going to go through, and it's going to be. I mean, as soon as you see the report come out, you're already guilty at this point. Like usually, you say like if something happened one time, like one time back in '02, I was wrong. I came like I knew everybody's in the office. I was running late to a meeting. I just ran on the treadmill. I had my shirt off and ran through the office. Be like, oh yeah, we get that, but you can't have like 95 straight occurrences. Come on, man. Come on.
now Donnie, there's a picture I'm looking at right now of Rich Rod on Google Images with his wife to the left, and there's a woman to the right. Is that the woman?
Probably. Like they were
Which
no
is
Jeff,
weird
they
because
were
like
side by side at times. Side by side.
Right, I'm noticing that, and I think I found the woman, and if I'm looking at the picture correctly, Rich Rod with his right arm around his wife, and his left arm on the leg of the woman. Is that what I'm seeing here? Google Rich
Yeah,
Rodriguez wife right now, Donnie, and you'll see the picture. He's in like a
I
red
should.
Arizona shirt. It's the third picture. Rich Rodriguez wife. They're like it looks like they're at like a basketball game of some sort.
Feel bad for the kid
What
too.
is
His
up
son's
with?
on that football team. What if the son's a freshman quarterback? That's got to be great for him to go through right
Oh,
now.
you're
Dad's out
kidding?
of a job,
Really? I
embarrassed
never
the
knew that.
family. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Son's
And
quarterback.
his daughter's okay. That looks like his daughter. His daughter's an Arizona cheerleader. Wow, what an awful Jesus Christ, man. So
And you have
I
all
thought his
that
kids were
money too. I
young.
mean, it's amazing. Like you're in a power position where you're making millions of dollars. Like if you want to, maybe Jeff, he takes on the advantage. Like, hey man, she's going to take me for all I got, and I'm going to have to play alimony. This is the best way to get around it because, as we say in the business, Jeff, it's always cheaper to keep her. Maybe it was cheaper to keep her, and that he just took the downfall of it.
I know, but it's like I thought his kids were. I'm not saying it makes it right, but like I thought his kids were younger. Like I didn't know they actually played on the team.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
Yep. That's pretty
Jesus, that's
embarrassing.
brutal. Yeah, that is really embarrassing. That's like that. That's like that. Remember the Miami Dolphins coach who was doing like coke and stuff? I read an article like he had kids in like college and stuff, and like I mean
That's
that
got to
would
go over well.
imagine like you're on Twitter and you go down and like you see your dad, he's like on there like sniffing coke and like telling a prostitute how he loves her and stuff.
Yeah, because I mean,
Definitely.
if you're growing up in the '80s, you didn't have all this viral stuff. So even if it was in the print, like, Dad, I found this article back on microfiche that said you got caught with cocaine. That was a setup. That was an absolute setup. Oh, my dad said it was a
That
setup. He
that
didn't really do that.
that
You know
that
what I
wasn't
mean? You
actually
can't do
me.
that.
That was hologram.
Yeah,
That wasn't even me. Big man on campus. You may have a second career as a detective. LOL. Yes, I'm good at finding info, aren't I? That's what I do, buddy. Cheaper to keep her. Yeah, good point. But
that's
listen,
his
I mean,
T-shirt,
look.
man. T-shirt.
Here's how I look at things, Donnie. If you're not happy, it's time to leave. Don't embarrass yourself, your family. You know, just move on. You can be a lot happier alone. You paid a woman a little bit of money.
Yeah,
What you
why do you
got to
even have to
do.
get mad? I mean, take the Jeter. We always say take the Jeter role, man. When you're in the live light, when you're really worried. Like Jeter's sitting back as an owner now. He's married, wants to start a family. That makes sense. But when you're in the limelight, where you're on the road all the time, and you could like, all right, Rich Rod, you could probably walk into a bar. I'm Rich Rodriguez. I got a ton of money. I'm a head football coach. You could pick up a lot of women. Why not just do that? Why do you got to get married, settle down? Come on.
I've often said, Donnie, I won't ever get married. It's not because I can't. It's because I don't want to.
Mm.
I'd rather do my own thing. I don't want to be held down, Donnie, as they say. I mean, I got women knocking on my door every night. I don't want to be held down. All right, let's move on, Donnie. We could talk about Rich Rod, I'm sure, all night and all day, but we got to move on. We must move on. We Donnie, we asked the listeners, how did we do on
Mm.
the bet yet? Was it good enough to continue? We'd like to hear your opinion. We had fun doing it. It was a good game too. UNC Florida State came down to the wire. But we ask you, how did we do? Did you enjoy it? Obviously, football will be coming up over the weekend. That'll be a little bit more, kind of boisterous. It's the playoffs. It's a little easier. When you're doing a basketball betcast, you have to know every player off the bench, every little thing. It's quicker, faster. We'll have more to come. We're looking forward to the weekend, Donnie, with the football betcast. I heard Gabe Morency was talking about he'll be on doing the Bills game, which I'm sure will
Mhm.
be quite the ride. He'll be on there he'll be on there either crying or happy about it. Donnie, how do you think that's going to go on? The Gabe Morency doing a Bills betcast. I don't think he's done one
Yeah,
yet.
that's gonna be an interesting one there because that would be Jeff. I don't know, like you know what I would like to do it a betcast where because I'll be down at the game. For I've been saying all year long. This time I actually will be at the Eagles playoff game since it is on a Saturday. It's going to be hell or high water for me in that football game. But to let the people in, if me and you did a betcast together with an Eagles game with that much on the line, I don't know what would happen. Maybe we would even get the SBR network banned on YouTube from that. There would be so much pressure in that game for me. I don't know. It would be fun to watch from the outside, but for me doing it, you might not have any like you'd have shelves coming down, monitors going down. The video would be looking up at the ceiling half the time. It would be pretty funny to watch.
Yeah, no, I hear on that. Aspire to be late. What's the betcast? The betcast is basically you turn on the TV, watch the game with us. We do in-game commentary, talk about live bets, really just commentate the game on here instead of listening to the regular announcer. So we urge you to join us. A lot of people liked it. They always have fun. They enjoy it. We'll be doing what, Donnie? What games are we going to do this weekend?
We're doing the 425 or 435 game on Saturday and the 440 game. Two decent games to watch up. Tennessee, Kansas City in the first one. Then we're going to come back on Sunday at 440 for a good one. Carolina and New Orleans. And we'll flip it over to the next week as well. Obviously, we will be I'll be at least abstaining from the Eagles game, but me and the big man will do another one next week, maybe even two next week for divisional round football. It's a lot of fun to do. But getting back to the overall Betcast premises, we're doing this in football season right now just because there's no more closing line and we want to provide content that's fun. We can maybe make some money, connect with everybody in the live chat box. But me and the big man came up with this concept a while back throughout college basketball season. We have a couple months to do it. One day a week, Wednesday night, the big game of the night, whether it's ESPN or ESPN2, that game that starts at 7 o'clock. We'll do it every single week. Have money, bet some in-games, look at some halftime lines. Because if you watched in last night, Jeff, you knew me. It's about getting the right number. I had Florida State at a pick 'em in that game. I won. At halftime, what was it, a 12 or 10 or 12-point game? You jumped in, told people to take UNC at the half. We both made some money in that game. Kept our eye on some other games out there as well. You know me, I faded VCU last night just for fun. That one ended up working out, making money. So it's a good show. I had fun. We had fun doing it. Went by fast, too.
And Donnie, how did South Dakota State work out? An easy fucking winner with 5 minutes to go. They go over the total. Donnie, those are
Yep.
the games you look
When you
forward
didn't
to.
even send me
I
the
love the
text
summer
of
league.
when it went over with like 5 minutes to go, I didn't even have to check on it. You knew it was good.
Well, at halftime they had 91 points,
Yeah.
and they only needed 148 for it to go over. So, I mean, it was. I'm not going to call it that was an easy winner, but it was. I mean, by the way, Donnie, last night I wanted to make a beat available to everyone here. UNC. Did you realize, Donnie, that game never went over the total?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Like,
Shoot
how
some
did
free
that
throws
game
out there.
not
I know a
go
lot
over?
of people got burned on that game too, especially if you had UNC, you were cheering loudly with those missed free throws. But if you had the over under, it still should have went over, and it didn't.
No, it's amazing. I mean, they scored 91 in the first half. Florida State had 51 points. They only score 70 in the second half. The game stays under the total. Brutal beat. And I'm sure that's why you don't count your money until you win, Donnie Rightside. You don't do it because a lot of times when you hear, oh, game over, good win, you end up losing. Don't do it. Stupid idea. But yeah, bad beat if you had that. And we will do one next week. It's Wednesday evening. Guys, also, here's what we'll recommend. We'll try to pick the game, but if there's a game you want us to take a look at, we'll watch it. Keep in mind, let's try to make sure it's not on, BN Sports where no one gets the game or something like that. We want to make it available. Usually it'll be an ACC, a Big Ten game,
Or
but
even you try to keep it off of ESPN3 too, because you know the streaming issues with that, of how you can call it live. Somebody might be 5 minutes
right,
behind on
right.
on the watch application. So try to keep it to CBS Sports, that 7 o'clock game, ESPN, ESPN2, the ones that are
And
on TV. Yes.
if I know this lot on here, this lot of people that we deal with, I'm sure we'll have, hey, can you watch the Central Arkansas, Lipscomb game or something? Next week, Donnie, we look at the schedule next week. Uh-oh, Donnie. We got a little problem next week.
What do we got?
We got a problem, Donnie. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the bet kits next week. I got Xavier Villanova on the card.
Hmm.
Might have
See,
we might
look,
just
that'll
have to
just be
stay home
me.
and we might just have to stay home and watch it instead, Donnie.
Just gonna have Jeff. I mean, we have the people need this betcast, Jeff. Do it for the people.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem doing that. I mean, I like going to the games, and I'm also though not a big fan of the college game at the Wells Fargo Center. I'm not a big fan of that. I like the more intimate
Yeah, like the college
atmosphere.
atmosphere. Yeah. Yep.
But I think we're all well aware it'll be Xavier Villanova. Game starts at 8. We'll be done by 10. Should be over by 9:50 ish.
Yep.
We'll be over in time, and I'm sure Morency won't mind. If 1 week we go a little late. Uh,
That's the good part about college basketball as opposed to doing a football game too. I mean, as long as there's not a foul fest, which it wasn't last night, the game was quick and clean. Got through halftime, spent some time in the second half. Wasn't a foul fest because it was close heading down the stretch. So it was good. It worked. Everything worked out last night well.
Yeah, so I guess on the level right now, we'll probably do Xavier Villanova. That will be the game. So we'll keep abreast of that and get at it next week. Donnie, we moved the level down one bit. Well, I'm move that down. We had some interesting things happen last night in college hoops, though. Notre Dame, not a problem without Bonzi Colson, Donnie. they bury NC State. I got to tell you, Donnie, NC State, they're a gutless team. That's a gutless team. That's a team that really blew their load early in the season. They beat Arizona down in the Bahamas, but I think a lot of that more for NC State was the fact that Arizona just wasn't playing well. How they beat Penn State, I'm not exactly sure. How NC State has beaten anyone of note, I don't know. I mean, they were crushed last night in that game. Notre Dame puts up 88. I don't think it's going to be as easy going forward without Bonzi. But last night, if you faded Notre Dame because Colson was out, I
And
mentioned
they
I was
did.
kind of uneasy. Yeah, I was kind of uneasy about this game just because Matt Farrell sees presses all the time. Temple Gibbs, they see presses. It's not when you press a team like Notre Dame, either you're going to foul them a lot or give them a lot of easy looks. And last night there were a lot of easy looks for Notre Dame.
No, it's pretty simple there, Jeff. We talked about it with the line movement yesterday, dropping a point and a half, sometimes 2 points in some spots because people like to jump on that right away. Oh my God, he's out. How are they going to survive? But when you have a good system and smart players, you can get by. Now, long term getting by, Jeff, we see this a lot. Like you got to come together in that first game. Look, Bonzi's not here. We got to play really well. Let's see what we can do. But the attrition over the year of an ACC schedule is going to catch up to Notre Dame. It just didn't last night. I know a lot of people were looking at that situation saying, you know what? I'll fade Notre Dame in this spot because I don't know how they're going to come out. They came out and played pretty well.
No, you're totally right. Donnie, we have a spelling mistake. Whoever came up with this graphic, Donnie writes it. I have a feeling you're to blame for this. Trey
Hmm.
Young is spelled wrong, Donnie. It's
Oh,
Trae. Trae. Uh, but
I
either
like
way,
this.
we
I
know
like
what
the
you're talking.
TREY better. I like the TREY better.
I'm sure you do, but the kid doesn't. It's Tray or Trae. Give the kid some credit, Donnie. Steph Curry calls him unbelievable. You should too. Get his name right. Trey
Hmm.
Young is
Just respect.
unbelievable. Yes, that's exactly right. Steph Curry's dead on the money. Trey Young, what he's doing right now is pretty unbelievable. I mean, again, I'll say he was not one of the better recruits out there. Best shooter, but he wasn't the best player. And he's been the best player, the national player of the year by a wide margin. Yet another 20 and 10 game of some sort. He had 10 assists last night. Now, you look at the last 5 games, okay, assist wise 10, 14, 12, 22, 10. All those games, he scored 27 or more points. 3 of those games, he scored more than 30 points. And he's doing it against good competition. It's not against McNeese State, Northwestern State.
Fisk.
One of them was. Yeah, it's not right. Right. It's not against Central Louisiana State Southeast, Wichita State, TCU. He's doing this against. Kid's amazing. I mean, he's a great shooter. Everything he does is fluid to watch. It's awesome to watch. Steph Curry, look out, Donnie, right there.
Yeah, can he hold up the whole year, Jeff? I mean, that's the question everybody wants to see because when you look at the numbers, they don't even make sense. Like it's like hard enough, Jeff, to get a double in college, let alone 30 and 11. I mean, it's astounding when you look at it. And you're right, it's against good competition that he's doing it, and we're sitting here waiting back, saying, can he go all the way through the Big 12 and do this? Can he go all the way through? Because he's a star in the making in college basketball. But Gus Johnson's going to get a hold of this kid as they go throughout the season, and it's going to be fun to watch. But I would love it to continue because it's a great story that we didn't anticipate this coming into college basketball season.
Luckily, I don't know how much you're gonna have to worry about this because Gus Johnson doesn't call Big 12 games. So luckily, we won't have to worry about this. Thank God. Gus Johnson, one of the worst announcers in
Stop it.
sports. By
Stop
the
it.
way, last night, here's what I liked out of Oklahoma, and I'm going to tell you right now, Donnie, if Oklahoma gets this output every game, there's not going to be a lot of teams that beat them. You look at last night, Trey Young at 27, Brady Manick though, Donnie, 28. He was 6 for 8 from three. Christian James gave him 12. You look at this balanced scoring. I mean, like 7 different people scored last night for Oklahoma. I mean, they can start getting other people to play well. Um, you know, that's important. I mean, Latin's starting to rebound the ball a little bit. You got to get another option, like you said. It can't just be like when Oklahoma went to the deep in the play or in the championship with Buddy Hield. It was questionable whether they had that other player. It was usually Jordan Woodard or someone like that, and they would have down games. They need to have some, everyone kind of play well. They still haven't had it. Last night, though, they put up 109, a nice win. Yet another amazing performance. Trey Young. Big man doesn't like just,
Guards win in March, Jeff. I mean, guards win in March, and
yeah.
there's no reason not to believe it for them.
First time listener, Carlos Roy. Welcome in, Carlos. Great to have you on
Yeah.
the show here. Uh, I hope you enjoy what we do here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, my friend. Don't ever miss a show. A big man
Yep.
doesn't like
Call
Gus
in.
Johnson. LOL. Yes, I don't like Gus Johnson. He's a moron. He tries too hard. But then again, maybe people say I tried. Is Oklahoma a possible future play? Sammy Sharps, you missed out on that, buddy. I
Uh,
told a
mm,
couple weeks ago at 80-1 they were a good play. That's why it's important to listen to the show. And I'm not going to call my own. I'm going to do a little Donnie Wrightside impression right now, okay? Because
go.
Donnie Wright said the other day, said he's the king of the NFL on the game
Yes.
show. He said he was the best.
King.
Listen, I
King.
don't mean to be a dick here. I am the king of college hoops. Okay. I'm not saying I'm the king of winning in college hoops, though I have won a ton this year. I am the king of college hoops. I have the best information. I know the most. If you want something, come to me. I'll gladly answer it. It's important that any time, Donnie, I talk about college hoops, you're there listening. That's the important thing that I get to all the listeners today. It's important that you listen. And last night, Donnie, UNLV went over instead in overtime and screwed me. UNLV, right now, you should not be backing on the road. I mentioned that last night on my own show. It's not something you should do. UNLV is not a good road team. They haven't been in many years, uh, and they didn't play well last night. Um, let's move on, Donnie. UVA. UVA is impressive to watch, aren't they? That defense is
Yeah.
a joy. They are a treat. They play just some unbelievable defense every single night. It's almost impossible to score on them, Donnie. I mean, they held Virginia Tech, who, I mean, Virginia Tech's like among the best, one of the best offenses in the country. I mean, you held them last night to 52 points. And a lot of the points were garbage points late, I'd imagine. I mean, Tony Bennett has established some amazing defense at that school year after year after year. It's impressive, isn't it?
No, it is impressive. You know what, Jeff? When you think about UVA, the way they play basketball, I like to equate it to how well like Army and Navy put out their system and say, you know what? It doesn't really matter what you guys are doing. As long as we execute what we know how we do, you're not stopping us and we're going to stop you. That's the way I like to look at UVA because when they get in some of those type environments, I mean, what more do you want, Jeff, from a basketball team? A team that's going to go out and play lockdown defense every single night and be smart with the basketball and have guys that can knock down open jumpers. It's fun to watch. So a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, Jeff, when we head into the tournament, what does everybody scream about? Somebody better knock UVA out. I don't want to watch that basketball game. I don't want to watch that tempo in the tournament. I enjoy stuff like that.
No, actually, I'm asking you and I'm urging you. Sit down and watch them play defense. It's actually really interesting. I mean, it's stifling,
The pack
really.
line,
That
baby. He can't get by the pack
yeah.
line, Jeff.
No, no. Uh, Mario Martinez, fuck Gus Johnson. Mute the TV when he's calling games. I agree. I'm
All right,
glad
next
someone agrees.
just for that comment, next Wednesday when we do the betcast, Jeff, I will impersonate Gus Johnson the entire game with you. How about that?
Big Man and Donnie, do you gamble full time or do you work a regular job as well? I'm a respiratory therapist and I bet in my leisure.
I
No,
like
I
it.
actually
Oh, brother.
that is a yeah, correct. A nice, probably union job, nice stuff. Respiratory therapist, Brandon Cummings. No, we do not work. We do not have regular jobs. Let's say we do work for SBR and we bet and we have some fun. That's what we do, Donnie. Right?
We try to bring the knowledge out there, right? Try to enlighten some people, have fun at the end of the day. Maybe we can make you a little bit of money on the side as well. That's the way to do it. I love it. That's Jeff, what we're here for to provide that service is if you have some time at work, maybe you work from home, maybe you get your lunch break, you pop on YouTube and say, you know what, I like betting, but sometimes I miss some things. A lot of you guys work your ass off in real life because me and Jeff, sometimes I don't think this is real life what we do. When you work your ass off, and sometimes you can get that little bit of knowledge where coming into the game. We're going to go over Houston, Wichita State. Maybe you hear something that you didn't know, or maybe an injury just propped up where we just brought it to your attention. Now you're going to bet that game. If we can win you a little bit of money, that's what me and the big man are here for, man. Straight up.
Right. And I think a lot of people think that we just sit around all day and lay in bed
Oh,
and at 4 o'clock we start capping the game. I mean, we're up at 9:30, getting the show together, do the show. I mean, then usually, I mean, this week is nice because I don't have any soccer shows. Usually, I have 2 or 3 of those a week. We got just a ton of stuff. Plus, like tonight, Donnie, I got to do Gabe's show. Gabe's not on the
mm.
air, so I got to do Gabe's show tonight. Late night on campus is
Ooh,
back.
about that.
So I'll be on tonight at 10 o'clock. So basically, I'm doing stuff from 9 o'clock until I mean, I'll probably be on that till midnight. It's just it's fun, but then it's like with a regular job, you get off at 5 o'clock and you don't hear again from your boss to the next day. For me, I always enjoy putting out the content, and I'm trying to always be on the game. And I become almost in the winter, and this is all I'm doing, because I spend so much time on college hoops that it's like this is all I'm doing. So it's like a regular job. I mean, it's no different from anything. Donnie, let's get into the breakdowns for tonight. Hitting the hardwood. We start out with some AAC matchups here, Donnie. What do we got on the slate?
Yeah, let's do it. We got two games like to pick out each day, maybe a third game typically that we'll peruse over the card, Jeff. But I like Wichita State. I've always liked Wichita State. But maybe
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it's a down year here, but a little bit of flip flop here on what we can anticipate with Wichita State, especially Jeff moving up in conference. 5:05, 5:06, 7 p.m. tip off tonight, Jeff, between Houston and Wichita State. Is it any surprise? I like to say it a lot. 70%, Jeff, of the early tickets coming in on the Shockers here. Line opens up at 8.5 at Pinnacle and also a Chris. But now looking, Jeff, double digits across the board. You're not going to find anything less than 10 right now showing up on the outlets. 151.5 in the over-under in this one. Jeff, Houston and Wichita State. Again, Wichita State in the past, very tough team at home. Can they cover double digits again tonight at home, Jeff?
Uh, I'm not willing to think they will. I think you make an interesting point that it's down year. I don't think per se it's a down year though. I think it's an interesting year so far for Wichita because they're in a new conference. They can't fall
Yes.
back on the whole, well, we're in the Missouri Valley, so we can just turn it up at any time and
Smash
we'll win
everybody.
this
Yep.
conference. Right. That's not going to happen this year. You're in a conference that has good teams. And look, I think on the defensive end, you have to be a bit concerned with what you've seen from Wichita State, especially late in the out of conference season. I mean, you're giving up a lot of points to a lot of teams. And look, I understand giving up points to Oklahoma or to whoever, but again, when you're Wichita, you shouldn't be giving up, 80 points to Arkansas State. You shouldn't be giving up, and you're only winning by 10 against Florida Gulf Coast. You struggled with Connecticut. I want to make clear that Connecticut game was a lot closer than it looked. I mean, that was a 6-point game for most of it. And this Houston team's pretty good. I mean, Rob Gray is a player of the year candidate in this conference. Um, they're well coached. They have some players that are really good. Armion Brooks, Devin Davis. This is a pretty good Houston Cougar team. They're good offensively. They rebound the basketball. They make their foul shots, and they're good from three. I would look to back Houston. I think for right now, I'm not. I like Wichita, but they're getting people back from injury, i.e., Shaq Morris, Marcus McDuffie. Uh, Shamet was injured early to start the season. I just don't think they've gotten into it fully yet. And right away, I think you're going to be able to make some money betting against them in the non-conference season. I think double digits a little too many in this game. Houston, a team to me, Donnie, I think is top three in the AAC. I like that. I think they're right behind Cincinnati and Wichita.
No, you bring up some good points in that game, But one thing I want to ask you about Wichita State, Jeff, which is always, in the past we knew Wichita State was going to run up some numbers, as a mid-major going to get a lot of respect heading into the tournament, because they would put up gaudy numbers, 30 and 3, 30 and 4, whatever it would be heading down the stretch, and they would be able to hang with the big boys. Now, how about attrition? And what I mean by that, Jeff, is not like losing players or being injured. How about now the grind of a harder schedule throughout the season? Some would say, the Temple style under John Chaney, which they built in, saying, we're going to build up calluses early. So when the rubber meets the road, down in March Madness and heading towards the tournament, we're going to be battle tested. Do you think that's a positive in today's college basketball with Wichita State and it helps them? Or it may be back in that old formula, like smash everybody, coast throughout the year, then go in and play your best basketball in March?
Well, the thing is, I think it's interesting you make that point because they seemingly have done that for many years, and they get into the tournament and usually play pretty well. They don't get knocked out generally in the first game or anything. I like the move for them. It's obviously a move upward. It's they don't have to worry anymore, Donnie, about we're going to get left out on tournament day. It's amazing that a team from the MVC can go into the AAC and be the legitimate favorite right away. This is only going to help them. I hate this whole. I don't respect teams that don't schedule tough. That's why for me with Georgetown, like I've been battering them all year. I hate their schedule. I don't think it helps you at all long term. And you look at the schedule for Wichita early on. I mean, you face Marquette. They're a good basketball team. You face Notre Dame. You beat them or you lose by once. That's a game you learn from. You played Baylor. don't sleep on South Dakota State. Mike Dom's one of the better players in the country. You played well against him for the most part. You played Oklahoma. This is only going to help. They're going to get to the tournament. It's they can look back on these games against Baylor and these kind of teams, and it's only going to help them. This is the right way to schedule. I'm glad they were able to make the move.
Yeah, interesting there. 527, 528, Jeff. 8 o'clock tip-off Eastern time here. Maryland and Michigan State. We all know the Jackson injury. It's going to hurt Maryland throughout the season. Looking at about 740 tickets wagered. So some light betting action that'll pick up throughout the day, Jeff. But again, 82% of those early tickets all backing Michigan State, and that's driving this number. Pinnacle opened up, Jeff, at 13.5. Chris opened up at 12. That line now sitting 15.5, and even sportsbook.com, Jeff, right now showing minus 16 for the favored Spartans at home. Too much of a price, too much of a bounce back, or is Maryland really that hamstrung now with Jackson out?
This is a fascinating game, Donnie, because this is really the books basically saying to you, we think Michigan State's going to roll like they have been. And there's a lot of points, especially for a Mark Turgeon team that they lose Jackson, but they still have some talent there. And Donnie, I read an article out of the Baltimore Sun about a week ago where it basically detailed since Turgeon took over for Gary Williams, every single year his star player's gotten injured in some way.
Hmm.
He's had some brutal luck at Maryland, unfortunately. He always seems to come up short. But I mean, I've made the case. I don't think Michigan State's the number one team in the country. I think they've really, just blown out bad team. I mean, you look at their last four opponents, Donnie. Houston Baptist, Long Beach, Cleveland State, and Savannah State. I mean, dreadful competition. And the question is, are they going to just keep turning up and go into conference play like they didn't miss a beat, or are they going to hit a little bit of a wall? You face some bad competition. You might not be as good as people say you are. Look, I think Michigan State's very good. They're a top five team. Do I think they're the number one team? No. And do I think Maryland's pretty decent? Yeah. I mean, but you look at the Terrapins. I think a lot of people are going to bet Michigan State here because they're going to see the previous results. They're going to see that Johnson is out. They're going to see all that stuff. But this Maryland team is still pretty decent. This is a lot of points. I would lean with the dog here, but I am concerned that we're in a position here where the books are laying a number out and saying, you know what, you can take the dog all you want here. This might be a lot of points to you, but they're going to win by 20 here the whole game. Like this is one of those games where it starts out, 12-2 and Ohio and Michigan State just cruises. It's a questioning, fascinating game. I'm not really willing to bet on it. It's a tough one. I would lean dog. I just think it's too many points. I think it's a 12, 13-point game, not a 17 or 8.
All right, we gave you two big name games there, Jeff. Always like to surprise you here, even though you don't even know what's coming there. I like to go off the radar a little bit. What can we take a look at tonight, Jeff? VMI, Wofford, UT Martin, Austin P, Belmont, Tennessee Tech. Is there anything off the grid tonight that might catch your eye and say, you know what? Might be a little bit of value in this spot here.
Yeah, this is a good night for hoops. You got OVC, you got Big Sky, you got Summit League. Yeah, I'm still looking around. I mean, VMI's terrible. Wofford might be a really good play against them at home. You got the West Coast Conference as well tonight. I'm interested to see, Donnie, how Texas Arlington bounced back. Texas Arlington's lost two
Yeah.
straight games. They're back at home though. That's an interesting one. I mean, they did not play well on the road, and you're getting a Troy team coming in that won this conference last year. Their boy Bernardo's back. This is an interesting game. Is Texas Arlington worthy right now of laying this number at home? I still think they're a very good basketball team. They hit a little bit of a wall. It happens. That'll be interesting. Is Northern Iowa? Can they bounce back? They're headed on the road to take on, to me, the best team in the conference, Missouri State. That's an interesting game. And our Temple Owls, Donnie, hosting a very good Cincinnati team. What do you say about this group right now, the Temple Owls? They remind you a bit of the Sixers. Can't get out of their own way, blow leads like crazy. They're not well coached. This is the tough game coming in here. This Cincinnati team is really good. And this number might be a little short, Donnie. Temple getting a lot of respect. I mean, we saw it against Villanova. What were they? A 9-point dog. Tonight they're
Yeah.
only a 7.5-point dog here.
Hmm.
I've mentioned Temple's pretty poor right now. I mean, I'm going to keep looking at this, see where the line goes. But there are some interesting games here all over the card.
Yeah.
Can you look out of the Big Sky? I mean, Montana, your Portland State boys, Donnie, Montana State. Always some interesting things on Thursday night card. We'll try to hit it hard here and try to find another winner.
No, it should be fun. We'll move it down here. About 10 minutes left in the show. We do want to make sure, Jeff, we do save time for the classic TV of the day, which will come up in a little
Yes,
bit. But there is
I
some
got a good
NFL
one today,
wildcard
Donnie.
action this weekend. Yeah. No, we're going to have some fun with that. Wildcard action this weekend, Jeff. 4 games out there. Just a little bit of a brush update. Again, there's not 15 games or whatever there usually typically would be on a non-bye week in the NFL. We've crunched these 4 games down 75 ways to China already. I haven't made any true predictions on the game, but a lot of people know where I'm leaning in these situations. Just some random updates coming out here. If you're looking at injury information, Devontae Freeman came back to practice yesterday for Atlanta after mysteriously missing a couple days, getting banged up in the last game of the season. That's a huge injury to keep an eye on. They seem to think he's going to be okay for that one. Marquise Lee, Jacksonville Jaguars, says he's going to try to give it a go in this one, but we've all known if you are a skill position player, Jeff, with a bad ankle injury, don't count on the guy so much. I don't care if he says he's playing and he's going to gut it out. We all know, hey, look, if you're a long jumper or a sprinter and you blow your hamstring out, that's great. Give it a go. We know your time's not going to be exactly what it should be here. So keep an eye on that situation also. In the way of weather conditions, Jeff, not too much. Obviously, with Carolina and New Orleans, they'll be in a dome. Kansas City will be a little bit of a cold weather game. The Rams in Los Angeles, is it ever bad weather out there, it seems? And then for the Jacksonville Jaguars game, about 60, 63 degrees for that one. So not too much of an impact on those. And line moves, Jeff, they've pretty much been what they've been since they've opened up. Not a ton of movement. 8.5 in that Kansas City game. 6.5 still in the Rams game. 8.5 with Jacksonville. And then that 6.5 to 7. The only real movement probably, Jeff, in that New Orleans game, going from 6 to 7 at some outlets out there. So status quo right now, just keeping an eye on some of these injuries. And the same thing with the Buffalo Bills and Shady McCoy. He says he's going to give it a go. He's a miracle worker. Shady McCoy. Hey, Jeff, by the way, if you had a bad ankle, right, or a bad back, and you owned a moving company, right, and you woke up in the morning, you were really stiff, you said, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. When they put the piano on your back, that's when the rubber meets the road, as I like to say, Jeff. And when you're going to be Shady McCoy, you take that hand off, you jump cut in the hole, and Marcel Darius is on your back. We'll see how well that ankle has been rehabbed.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. The question is how effective will he be? That's a great
Yeah.
point. He's very important to that offense. I know Gabe doesn't think he is. It's not going to be a big deal, but I think it's going to be. I think he needs to. We'll see what happens though. It should be fun. Donnie, also Marquise Lee supposed to be might be back for the Jags. It's always a nice
Yeah.
grab getting a receiver back. Always going to help you towards the end of the season. Donnie, we relived today as we end the show. We got about 5 to 8 minutes here. We can actually talk about this one. We relive. Donnie, I know an episode you talk about quite frequently. If you're new to the show, the classic TV of the day is basically us reliving a funny episode or a funny part from The Sopranos, The Wire, whatever we pick that day. The first Donnie one we went over was the Funhouse episode of Sopranos. But we looked to season 6, Donnie. And if you have not seen The Sopranos, I strongly urge don't listen to this part of the show if you plan on watching it. But if you don't and you just want to listen, we welcome it. But a lot of people remember this. Donnie, it was the 73rd episode of the series in season 6. It produced and came out April 30th, 2008. We relived Johnny Cakes, the episode Johnny Cakes from Sopranos. Basically, it was about Vito Spatafor, who decided that
Mhm.
he became an outed as gay in the mob,
Yeah.
and in the mob you can't be gay. So he
We're just joking with to set the scene, Jeff, where they found him out there. Just joking around, just a joke.
right. Don't tell my wife, that kind of thing. He leaves, he goes to New Hampshire, and he decides he falls upon this bed and breakfast, and he's all over the place. He walks into this diner and he finds this older gentleman like himself that's the cook, and he asks him what's the best food around here, and the guy
Mhm.
goes, well, how about you try the Johnny Cakes? He then finds out that this fella's a little gay like him, and they decide to start getting it on.
What does he
But
ask for though,
initially,
Jeff? Instead
Donnie,
of the Johnny cakes, what did you try to go in there and ask with the Johnny cake?
little Jimmy Dean's, couple Jimmy
Let me get
Dean's,
some
I
of them
believe.
Jimmy Deans. Yep, there you
But
go.
but the whole thing is funny because he acts like he's a sports writer and he's writing on
Yes.
boxing. He doesn't know anything about boxing, and he ignores the advances initially. You remember the scene in the parking lot, Donnie, where they start talking about like Harley Davidsons, and Jim like reaches in to like kiss him, and he like pushes him off and calls him you know what, and
Yes.
then he decides he walks into the restaurant and he goes, he grabs his hand. He goes, "Sometimes you tell a lie for so long, you don't know when you're safe." And they start, living together, and it's just a funny episode because it also relates to when, if you remember, Donnie, this was when AJ was like in his really negative part of his life. He was like going to like clubs and like overdosing and stuff, and like he wasn't doing anything with his life. And um then Tony offers him a job at Beansy's Pizzeria, and he gets all pissed off. It's just a great ending because it's also the episode, Donnie, when AJ decides he's going to take Junior Soprano into his own hands. And he takes the knife to like the psych ward,
Hmm.
and
You know what I
he
loved
gets
about
he
AJ
gets
too, Jeff, is like
yeah. No.
he's doing real bad. He's in a bad way. He's not motivated, and they're just like, yeah, why don't we just buy him his own nightclub because he really likes that. Tony didn't like that too much.
Yeah, no, he goes, well, actually, he does initially say, why don't we get him a club? We'll see. And
Yeah,
Carmelo's like, he's not even
it's
legal age to
opposite.
drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Also, a
what a
good
life.
part in the good point by Skooma Steve here. Remember when Vito and the biker guy are fighting, and Vito grabs the tire iron and the guy kicks out and goes, "Dirty fighter, huh?" Like, and Vito's just on his knees, just like bloody, just.
Yeah, and somebody
Uh,
brought up the good thing about that too is Tony. You're supposed to immediately, in the mob life, get rid of that element that Vito would be, but it's always about that bottom line dollar. Fought with it for a while, Jeff. I can't get rid of this guy. He is my best earner.
Dude, one of the best quotes by Phil Leotardo on the show is when they're like meeting about Vito, and Tony goes, "My bottom line's been affected," uh, Phil goes, "Vito's bottom line's been affected, if that's what you're referring to." And it's just funny.
Phil is
That's what
such a
makes the show
scumbag.
so.
He's such a great scumbag in that show, man. He really was.
And rest in peace to Frank Vincent, one of the greatest actors in the
Yep.
history of TV and in movies. AJ was
Hmm.
so annoying. I didn't agree. I actually liked this character. I thought he played he actually, Donnie, many when I was growing up, many a weeks my parents related me to AJ. I was a lot like him when I was younger. When I was like in my late teens, early 20s, I had a very similar life to AJ Soprano. But
And how
yeah,
about
it was
he was
a great.
fronting with with
Yeah.
his rich girlfriend too, and then they go to their house, and he's probably like some Wall Street things like, "I was telling you, we even had a maid."
Oh yeah, he acted like he was so rich. He had like that,
Yeah,
the all this stuff, and then they go to her house, and she's like
a
extremely wealthy. The
billionaire.
house is like 40 bedrooms and stuff. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great show, but we'll keep reliving it. But that was a great episode, Johnny Cakes, if you can relive it.
Yeah.
Phil was a cold motherfucker. He was one of the best characters in the show, though. I
Mm.
mean, he was so good. Um, so good. But we wrap it up today, Donnie, reliving Johnny Cakes, episode, I believe,
Yep.
8 in season 6. Check out Sopranos if you've never seen it. Great show. We wrap it up today, Donnie. As always, thanks to Wama for producing the show today. Um, I'll have the play of the day a little bit later. Donnie, maybe we'll see him getting involved with college basketball at some point
Mm.
this year. I don't know when it will happen, but at some point it's going to happen. Donnie, can you give us a timeline on when that might happen?
Yeah, it'll be by the end of January. Premium action, like where like I'm dialed in and we're ready to go. But you saw last night. I got a lot of people hit me up. Do you really like Florida State last night? Yeah, got them in a pick 'em. I liked it. Also told people I just wanted to straight up fade, not even a cap, Jeff, just a fade of VCU. That worked out. It's a lot of fun. I mean, there's ways
Yeah,
you can pick and choose in the business right now. It's fun.
I think what we need from you, Donnie, is like a free college hoops play that you're liking every day.
Oh,
I think people would enjoy
mm,
that.
I think
But
they.
I'll get the play of the day out a little bit later. We'll make sure we have that. I got nothing else to do. By the way, tonight I'll be on 10 o'clock Eastern. I know I'm not Gabe Morency, but we'll try to have some fun. We'll go back to the late night on campus. We'll try to have some
I'm
fun
gonna have to
there.
buy. I'm gonna
Any
have to buy dislikes for that show. You know what? I'm just gonna have to buy some dislikes now.
Yes. And by the way, we will have to try to we'll maybe get some listeners on the air if you have a webcam and you're able to come on. We've had listeners on before. Maybe we'll try to do that. But yes, get the dislikes bought if you haven't bought them yet. Join me tonight at 10. Everyone have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern, the right side of campus. Bye bye.